Hello there folks, and thanks for joining me once again. I've had a request to tie this fly that I've posted on Facebook a few times, one of my followers, and it's how I put together what they call the EP fiber baitfish patterns. And this one is I'm using the color of fibers, they call it black coffee. It's more of a brown to me, but it's a very dark color brown, EP fiber. So I want to show you how I put mine together. I'm sure you've seen lots of videos of these tied, but I wanted to do this one. So I'll get this guy the vise here. It's going to be quite a long video, so I hope you sit back and enjoy this one. Alright, for the hook I'm using a short shanked heavy hook here. And it's one I got off Amazon. It's called the Pursuiter Big Game Hunter. It's a short shank, 2 extra strength hook. It's a very stout hook and nice wide gap. I like using this for these here baitfish patterns. So we'll get that locked in the vise. Okay, just like so. Alrighty. Now for thread I'm using some 18-aught. You want to use a fine thread for these, I find. Works best. And if you have mono thread it would be great, but I don't have any. This is 18-aught 30 denier nanosilk in black. And I like to use wax on this thread every so often because it's quite slippery thread, as we know. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is start my thread just behind the eye here. And I'm not worrying about touching wraps here particularly. I'm just going to wrap back to the bend. Okay. And trim off the excess there. Okay, back a little ways farther, and then we're going to go ahead ways. A little more wax. You'll see me add wax to this quite often during the tying process. Alright, now for flash on this baitfish, I just have 3 strands of a really fine flashabou gold coppery color. And what I'm going to do is pinch that in right on top here. Just like so, wrap back. Forward again, then I'm just going to fold that back. Keeping everything right on, I want to keep that all lined up on top of the shank. So I'm just going to turn my vise so make sure I got it right on top there. It looks great. Okay. And we'll snug that down good with lots of good wraps there, tight wraps. Alright, I'm just going to stick that in the material, clip it on my way here. Okay. We're going to be trimming that in the end anyways, but for now, I'll just put it in there out of my way. Hopefully it'll stay in there for me now. Alrighty, our first step, I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to start on the bottom. Now I'll be turning this to the bottom side and the top side, alternating in between bunches. Now I have a lot of bunches of this here cut here, the EP fiber. I cut them in lengths. And the rear portion is where I'll use my longest lengths here. I want it to come back about halfway on that flash there. And the way I tie this in on the bottom is I'll tie about halfway onto the fiber. I'm going to bring my thread around here. Tie that about halfway. Just check it. Okay, and what I'll do is just bring this around to the opposite side of the hook, which would be your side. Once I get a hold of it here, just like so, and snug that down. Okay, and you always want to make sure as well is that your fibers are even about halfway on each side up on the shank. So when we bring the top section on, it meets that halfway. And it doesn't matter if a little of your thread show, and that's normal for these streamers, I find. You'll have a little thread showing. You want to keep them sparse. Now we'll take the next bunch, and I'll do the same again. I'm just going to tie that about halfway on my side here, halfway the fibers. And a couple wraps, and I'll fold it around to the other far side. Just like so. Snug it down tight. Alright, now that's our first section of our bait fish. It looks good on both sides, so I'm happy with that. Alrighty, so now the way I start to put the sections in now is a little bit different. I got one fiber there. Now I'm going to turn it upside down once again. Now the next section I'm going to take, what I'm going to do It's a little bit different. I'm going to take it and just going to wrap it around the shank of the hook like so. But I want to split the fibers over top of the point of the hook, just like so. And then I'm going to catch that in with my thread. 3 to 4 snug wraps. Then I'm going to check, make sure it's halfway up on each side of the hook shank. That looks good. And I'm just going to take my fingers and sweep all those fibers back where they should be. Okay, now we're just going to repeat that once again. Take another section here that I got cut. I cut quite a few pieces. I may have to cut more. I find with these flies, you never know how many pieces you're going to need. You can't really predict how many you're going to need, so do that once again. Take that and divide it, and I'm going to catch it in on top like so. Nice tight wraps. I'm going to check as I'm going here and make sure it's halfway on each side. Okay, next time I'm going to thread it hit a little. We're going to do the bottom section once again. And I actually forgot to put wax on there, so I don't want to forget wax once in a while. And as we go forward, the pieces sections will get shorter. I cut them shorter as you go forward. That'll give you that taper. I don't cut the sections all the same length. Alright, we'll catch that in again. Just like so here. Nice and tight. Come back on that a little bit more. I'm going to sweep that back with my fingers. Okay. It's all back there now. That looks great for that section. Tie it down good. Add a little more wax. Okay, we'll grab another section here. Catch it around, loop it around the shank. Hold up on it like so. Make our wraps there, just like so. Alrighty. I want to check that, make sure it suits me. That looks pretty good on both sides. So, and we'll turn it upside down again here, the vise, and we'll do the bottom once again. I'm probably going to have to cut more. It's looking like I'm definitely going to need more sections, folks, but that's okay. It's no big deal. Okay, grab another one here. Going to even that up, so I got it even. Grab it as it loops around. Divide it between the hook point. A few snug wraps going back, then forward. Okay, now I'm going to sweep the material back once again. Okay, I'm just going to check as I go here, make sure I'm liking what I'm seeing. Looks alright. Okay, we're ready for our top section again. So I'll grab another piece here that I got cut. I'm definitely going to need more. I guess I thought I had enough, but it's hard to judge it sometimes. I haven't tied a lot of these, so I suppose the more of these you tie, the more you'll catch on exactly how many pieces you may need, but it's no big deal. Alrighty, that's that part. Yeah. Just make sure that's down around both sides. Looks good. Flip it around. Bottom section once again. We'll keep doing the same, repeating the same process. We'll loop that around. Like so. Catch it in. Wrap back. Okay. Flip the vise around once again. Sweep that back with my fingers here, just like so. Now that one come up on top a little more than I like, so I'm going to just adjust it with my thumbnail here. There we go. That looks good, folks. Alright, now we're ready for another section. Another top section here. Okay, and I got one left, so I'm definitely going to have to cut more. I was short 4 or 5 sections that time. It's no big deal. Like I say, this is going to be a long video anyhow, so I just wanted to prepare you for that. So, because we got all the trimming to do and the eyes afterwards. So, okay, I'm just going to trim a few more pieces out here, folks. So just bear with me out of the hank of EP fiber here. trim a few more pieces out. It's not a big deal. It takes a little more time. That's all. Probably gonna need probably about 8 more pieces, I would say. Somewhere thereabouts. So I'm just gonna trim these out. Okay, trim them in 2 here. Okay, that's 4. I'd say a couple more may do it for us here. Alright. Okie dokie. Alright, let's try that, see if that gives us enough. I got 6 pieces here, so we're going to go to the bottom once again. Bring that up so it's even. Divide it around the hook point. Wrap back, a couple snug wraps there. Looks good. Okay, sweep it back once again, out of the way. Alrighty, so there's another bottom section. It's looking pretty good, folks. It's coming along pretty good here. Alright. One more piece for the top. Okay, loop that around. Same deal, we're just repeating it over and over here. Till we get enough fibers here that we want. Tie it down nice and snug. Some more wax on my thread. Check that, see if it's where I want it to be. Actually, it looks pretty good, so we're going to do the bottom piece once again here. Alright, same deal, we'll loop that around. Just like we've been doing here. Okay, nice snug wraps there. Actually, I've done the bottom twice, but that's no big deal. Just trying to hurry too much here. Slow down a little bit. Alright, that's filling in nice. As you can see on the top and bottom, it doesn't look like, looks pretty messy at the moment, but that'll all change soon enough. Once we get her trimmed and everything here. Okay, top section once again. Tie that down nice and snug there. This looks good to me, folks. Flip it around. Another bottom section. We're almost done here, believe it or not. I think I judged it just about right for the amount of pieces this time around when I cut those last ones there. Alright, sweep those back here. Just like so, it looks pretty good. I'd say we only need like one more piece on the top and that's going to finish it, folks. And I'll move on to the next process here. Alrighty. Gonna loop that up, catch it in here the same way, around the shank. Alrighty, that's looking pretty good. Now we're just going to build a small head on them here. Like so. Alrighty. Now I'm going to have one final look at this and make sure everything looks good to me here. Because you can adjust before you completely finish it if you see something out of place. Alright, that looks pretty good. Okay, so. Alrighty, I know it's looking like a mess right now, but we're going to fix that, folks, so don't worry about that. Alright, I'm going to put a little wax on my thread and do a whip finish here. Alrighty. Once I find where I put my whip finisher, okay. Alright, usually do probably a couple whip finishes on this guy here. Okay, there's one. Snug it down good and tight. I'll throw in another one. Okay. That's fine. Whoops, thread snap, but that's alright. Knot was in place. Okay, now I'm just going to add a tiny drop of super glue on the head of that. Okay. Just a little drop right there, right around. Alright, that looks good. Okay, now comes the fun part, folks. What we got to do next is some trimming. Just gonna spread that glue around a little bit more there. We'll let that dry for a sec. Alrighty. Now we're going to remove him from the vise here. As you can see, it's looking pretty messy right now, but that'll all change, like I say. Once we get trimming here, this is what you want to see once you get all your hair in place. It looks something like this. Now it looks like quite a mess, but now what I also will do is I'm going to take a little piece of Velcro hair I on a stick here, and I'm just going to lay this flat on my bench, and I'm going to comb that out, the top and bottom, just make sure there's no fiber stuck there. I just want everything brushed out nice and neat here. Get it all evened up. Okay, sweep it back. And I'll show you what I mean here once I get done brushing it all out, what it looks like. It's quite a process to these flies, but they're fun to tie and they definitely work. Okay, now there's what we got. Look like sort of like a flat pancake. And you look at it forward that way, you see it's pretty flat. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to hold up my fingers and let you see most of the trimming. It's not easy this way, but I like to use a long scissors for these with long points, like so. I got these long hair scissors here. Now, I'm going to try to hold it up so you can see here. Now, the first cut, the way I do it is what I'll do is just come up on right off the hook point. Use the eye of the hook here as a guide. And I just come up and make one cut like that. I'll turn it over. Make sure these fibers are all spread out there. Same thing, come up, make one cut straight up off the eye of the hook. So more or less just rounded it off a little bit like so. Now the next cut, I'm going to come in on an angle and I'm going to cut straight down towards the end of the fly here, that flash, like so. Turn it over. Same deal. I'm going to come in, cut down towards the end of the fly. So then we got sort of a triangle, like an arrow shape there. Excuse me. Okay, next I'm going to round it off a little more here. Try to keep this video as short as I can, but it's going to take a little while, folks. It's not a fly that you can just throw together quick. Alright, same on the bottom. I'm going to round it off a little bit and taper it back. Just like so, as you can see. Starting to get a little more rounded look there. Okay, and also the front here, if you find it too thick, what you want to do is just lay your scissors, I lay the fly down flat and then just trim. You're more or less just giving it a little thinning out with the scissors. You see it looks a little thick on the front. That's what I generally do. I'll just keep going over it with the scissor points, thinning it out a little bit. I'll turn it over and do it on the other side as well. I think part of that fly is a little too thick for my liking. That's what I'll do. Alright. So how's she's looking so far? We're getting there. Alrighty. So thinning out nice now, folks. A little bit along the top there. I don't like how that looks. I'm going to trim some of that. It's a little thick there at the front. So I'm going to trim some of that as well. Okay. Just make sure you get all them loose fibers out of there. And that's what we got so far. It's looking a little better. So now I'm going to take my Velcro and brush it, lay it flat, and give it one more last brush out here, and do some more trimming. I'm going to brush all them fibers back out again, in case there's still some trapped ones on the bottom of the fly and the top. Give it a good brushing there. Okay, that's pretty good right there. So as you can see, that brought out some more fibers, so I'm going to trim some more. Grab my long scissors here once again. Okay, It's starting to look good now. You get the idea anyway, so. Alright, so now I'm going to come up once again, and I'm going to round that head off of the fly a little more. I want it more of a rounded shape. More or less a teardrop shape, I guess you could say, is how I like these flies. Now I'm going to come up this time, where I cut this time on the bottom, I'm going to trim the excess flash in the back off, because we just want that to come past our tail just a hair, so I'm going to trim that. As you can see, now the flash just comes right just a hair past the end of it there. Okay, just going to fan some more of that out with my fingers. And I like to keep it trimmed on the bottom right flat, right even with the hook point there. I like the hook point to be exposed a little bit if I can. I always try to achieve that, so. But that'll collapse easily if and when a fish grabs it. You'll have no trouble hooking a fish. It's just, that's what I like to see right there. Now I'm going to trim a little bit on the top. Again, it's still quite thick there on the top, right towards the head of the fly. Just keep trimming until you're satisfied with it. You just want a nice thin profile. When you look down at the fly from the eye this way, see how you can see it's still a little thick right here. I want a nice thin profile there. So I'm going to keep thinning that out just a little bit there. Just want to be careful you don't cut too much. It takes practice with these. Okay. Like I was saying before, I haven't taught a lot of them, but they're coming along pretty good. Most of the ones I make now are turning out pretty well. Okay, a little more trimming. Okay, you can trim like deer hair flies. I could sit here and trim forever, but if you do that, you can screw up and end up without anything left to trim. So you all got to know when to stop. Same with deer hair. Same deal, folks. I'm just about happy with this guy now, so it's come along a little faster than what I thought, so that's good. It's just about to where I'm satisfied with it now. Just trimming a few extra fibers off. Alright, that's just about there, folks. That's looking great. Alrighty. There she go, right there, folks. That's what I'm looking for, nice and thin when you look down straight on.